and good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 p.m. on Wednesday, November 15, 2023. I call the Committee on Parks, Enterprise Services, and Culture and the Arts meeting to order. I want to welcome Vice Chair Okimoto as well Councilmember Tupola. Pursuant to Section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. I want to welcome Councilmember Cordero. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda in two ways: in person in the council chamber and remotely. In person and remote oral testimony will be allowed when each agenda item has been taken up. Therefore, testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All the persons who have registered to testify in person will be called upon first. When the timer goes off, please conclude your remarks promptly. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered testifiers. Once in-person testimony has concluded, I will proceed to remote testimony. I want to welcome Councilmember Say. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference or telephone will then be called upon. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. For persons who are testifying by telephone only, I will identify you by your last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, please listen for the prompt to unmute and then press *6. When I call for anyone else standing by remotely, please utilize the Zoom raise hand button to indicate your desire to speak. For those joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Some friendly reminders and tips. Video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television when you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires that all votes at remote meetings be conducted by roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will first call for objections. If there are any, I will call for a roll call vote. Written testimonies include the testifier's address, email address, and phone number will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. All right, let's move on to item number 1, Resolution 23-259, accepting a monetary gift of $4,000 to the city from the Hawaii Medical Service Association to be used towards production, logistics, prize awards, contest ribbons, and volunteer refreshments for the Mayor's Craft and County Fair on November 18, 2023 at the Neil Blaze Center Exhibition Hall. And here to speak on that is Deputy Director Kehau Pu'u.
Mahalo, Committee Chair Tauba and council members. First, the Department of Parks and Recreation would like to thank HMSA for this generous donation. They've been a steady and stable supporter of our Mayor's Country and Craft Fair. It'll be this Saturday at the Neil Blaisdell Exhibition Hall. It's an opportunity for our senior clubs to sell and feature a lot of the crafts and things that they make throughout the year. So we request approval of this reso. Mahalo.
Members, any questions? Councilmember Cordero?
Thank you so much, Chair. Hi, Deputy Director. You mentioned that it's also for some of the senior clubs to sell what they make during the year. Oh, awesome. I like to hang out with my Salt Lake and Alapu'umalu seniors, actually. So what happens when they do sell it? Does it go back to the department, or where does it go?
I think it goes back to the club.
The club.
You know
oh,
what?
Okay. Yeah, because they get plenty of field trips and everything like that.
Yeah, so it goes back to them, I believe.
Oh, awesome. Oh, my gosh. I can't wait to be a senior and hang out officially. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Lots more years.
Yeah. Okay.
My mom does pickle onion at these fairs. So,
yeah, and also she helps with cookies too. She sells cookies in my district too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyway, sorry.
No worries.
Okay, my bad.
No, thanks. They're very talented. I mean, they make all kinds of things. So it's a really great opportunity. It's a really great event.
Yeah, awesome. Any more questions, council members? Council members say.
Yeah, yesterday I had a question in regards to this event. free parking?
I do not know.
I hope
Probably
it
not.
is. Huh? I hope it is free parking so that it incentivizes the general public to attend.
It's, yeah, it's at the Blaisdell, so I'm gonna assume it's not free. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Councilmember Cudero.
That's actually a really great question because this is the second time during committee week that Councilmember Say brought this up because we've had city and county partnered and hosted events there. So I mean, it is $8, right? And
Yeah.
so it is probably a hindrance too for some people. I mean, that's why I end up like choosing to walk or I guess take a biki to Blaisdell versus paying the $8.
Well, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I can speak from personal experience when we've had trainings and things. We still have to pay for
Pay,
parking
right?
as city employees.
Okay. All right, something to think about. Yeah. Huli huli chicken sales, people. What do you think? We'll find a way. Yeah, but that is important. My mom uses the handy van, so they take her, drop her off quick, right? All right, we now will proceed to in-person testimony in the council chambers. Clerks, do we have any registered testifier?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on the item? I
Aloha.
see you.
I see you too.
Okay. Go ahead, Angela.
Aloha, Chair and the City Council. Angela Melody Young testifying on behalf of CARES. So, HMSA usually works with governmental services to partner to address health inequities and health inequalities. And we usually see HMSA providing health navigation resources such as healthy recipes, helping you live your best life by choosing vegetables instead of plate lunch. And yet they're donating a gift to the Mayor's Craft Fair, which I think is very exciting. So I'm in support. I did attend the craft fair last year, and I helped one of the booths get on television for their winning award of the best cookies. Yeah, it was really exciting. And I hope that there will be more of these collaborations with health organizations and to help the seniors and to get crafts to people. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Okay. We'll now proceed to remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, it looks like no one's hand is raised. So, members, we are in discussion. Okay. Chair recommends that resolution 23-259 be reported out for adoption. Any objections, reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Okay, moving on to item number 2, accepting the gift from the city to the city from the mayor of Incheon Metropolitan City, Republic of Korea, valued at $99,000. It's a stainless steel sculpture with a granite stone base to be installed at the Paava Inha Park to commemorate the 120th anniversary of Korean immigration to Hawaii and the United States and the 20th anniversary of the established sister city relationship between Honolulu and Incheon. And here to speak on the administration is Kaylee Trask O'Connell, Executive Director.
Good afternoon, Chair Toba and council members. Ka'ili Trask O'Connell, Executive Director of the Office of Culture and the Arts. Today, I'd like to express my support for Resolution 23-280 to accept a gift to the city of a stainless steel sculpture from a granite stone base valued at $99,000 from Mayor Yu of Incheon, Korea. The sculpture commemorates the 120th anniversary of Korean immigration to Hawaii and the United States, as well as the 20th anniversary of the established sister city relationship between Honolulu and Incheon. The sculpture is titled Face to Face and symbolizes the connection of our two cities looking at each other through a clear reflection through 4 hemisphere mirrors. With the approval from the Commission on Culture and the Arts for this sculpture, we ask for your acceptance of this gift and its installation at Pawa'a Inha Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any questions for Councilmember Say?
Yeah, Ms. McConnell, the question I would pose to you, do you have a site at this point in time of where it is going to be located?
Yes, we do have a site within Hop Park.
Yes.
Sam could specify more details on that.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out a way with this statute. You chase away all the homeless.
Yeah, I know that's a
They're
problem.
congregating there. And, it's been a big issue for the council member from that district. So that's why I thought maybe the siting would make it difficult for the homeless to settle down. Sam?
Comment on the location? No. Yeah, we're doing a site visit next Tuesday to confirm the specific location.
Okay, just that, put it in an area where it makes it difficult for the homeless to settle down at the park.
Okay, noted. Yeah.
Or else I'll tell the chair to amend the resolution that DFM got to go every week to check the park because they may defecate at the statute and so forth. You hide and do it, right?
Is it bad in that area, Councilmember Say?
Really bad.
Yeah.
It is really, really bad. It's right adjacent to the Department of Agriculture building also. Keamoku and...
Yeah. Councilmember Tupola?
Just as a follow-up, I think because we may still be actually in the lawsuit, we probably shouldn't talk about any homeless enforcement. I'm just saying they're trying to come up with a settlement for this, but they can use anything, even the conversations we have in the hearing, to prosecute the city. So I think in general, we need people to follow park rules. Yeah, so I think if we go with rule enforcement, which is what we do, right? So park rule enforcement is something that's legal, valid, we can do that. It's public spaces. So just wanted to, encourage them as they do this to keep that in mind, because we definitely want to make sure that that the areas that are for the public stay public.
Yeah. Amazing, huh? If we just followed rules, everything would be so awesome. Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. I know you're new to the position, and this may not be for you. It may be actually be for Parks or maybe DFM, because I did hear feedback. I haven't been to this park, but I've heard of the importance of it to our sister city, Incheon, who in the past donated things as well. Now we have a new statue, and it's pretty pricey in value, at least according to my standards. What can we do to see what we could do to enhance the park or monitor it? What is the plan? I know this isn't in your area, but I'm wondering if there's anybody from the city who could tell us what we could do, because what I would hate is for the sister city who's been so well, to us, and in the past they've donated things to this specific park, which is special for the relationships that we have, to have another thing brought here, but not to have it preserved or taken care of. What are the city's plans on how to make sure that we can preserve and make this a public area, like Chair said, but also respect the people who gave the city that gave us the gifts?
Yes, absolutely. From the sculpture itself standpoint, it will become a part of the city's art, and that would put them on our schedule to be for maintenance. So from that standpoint, it would be, and we're going to be partnering with DPR to ensure that the parks are understand where we're putting it and work with them to ensure the best quality for that.
Thank you for sharing. That would be great. I know, again, I credit a lot of these relationships to even the support that Maui received when we have these relationships with sister cities or other countries. The importance to preserve it is to make sure that they feel as respected as they've shown towards us. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Tupola.
Just to follow up on that, so we're doing a statue installation at a park in Waianae, and it's been interesting. I think maybe Mocha should have a template of how to follow along with how a donation converts into installation, because that's kind of where we hit a lot of blocks. And to Councilmember Okimoto's point, I don't know actually what happens after that, so I should be concerned about the maintenance, because I think after that it's still the donors that are responsible for what they've donated. So it's just a suggestion. I mean, now that I've gone through the process, I'd probably write down at least 10 pointers for the next person that has to do a statue installation.
Yes.
It's been quite a learning process.
I actually did recently just see a flow chart explaining that, so I could send you something.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Awesome. What's the status on the gift right now?
It is ready to be shipped.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. All right, we'll now proceed to in-person testimony in the council chambers. Clerks, do we have any registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
I see the Wicked Witch from the West is taking a stand. So go ahead, Angela.
Yes, I'm the Wicked Witch. Okay, so Angela Melody Young testifying on behalf of CARES. So we went over this, but I'll just reiterate. Sister cities are important because it helps with peace between the countries through healthy relationships. And there can be program offerings varying from basic cultural exchange programs to shared research to help each nation and country advance, and development projects from the cities to build trust. So it's a good thing. It's kind of a good thing to support sister cities. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chamber?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, perfect. We'll now proceed to remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Is there anyone else online? I see no one. So members, we are in discussion. Okay, perfect. The chair recommends that resolution 23-280 be reported out for adoption. Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Okay, move on to item number 3, resolution 23-267, urging the Department of Parks and Recreation of the Honolulu Police Department to improve conditions, strictly enforce city ordinance, and address community concerns at Lualuale Beach Park. Here from the administration is Kehaulani Pu'u, Deputy Director.
Hi, aloha. First, we just want to mahalo Councilmember Tupola for putting forth this resolution. Parks and Recreation, so generally for park closures, we like for that to go through neighborhood boards to get support from our neighborhood boards. I will assume that this has gone through the board, but in general, we don't have any issues with this resolution. We think that these are some great ideas to address the challenges in these parks. Where the challenge would be resourcing for some of these things, but we are more than happy to work with Councilmember Tupola and the community members in Waianae near Pokai to work on these items.
Awesome. If you know what, I can defer to you and you can explain, and then we'll go with questions.
Yeah, we're going to hear some testimony, but to your point, Deputy, I do believe it hasn't. So I think maybe if we hold it, or maybe we pass it out and then hold it before we put it on the main agenda. Long story short, you're right. I definitely want the neighborhood board to know this was a handful of people that are on the board, but it doesn't mean the board came out with like a support or oppose. So why don't I do that? And then I can discuss with Councilmember Toba how we proceed, because you're right. I want that to be there. The second thing I wanted to ask, and this is specifically about, so I know this is like, how do you describe this? Facial improvement, sort of. But obviously the issue there is so deep because it's been so long and it's such a public space where, I mean, gosh, people haven't been able to camp there for a while. Do you know, is there camping permits allowed for that area?
So sewers, that's a permitted camping area. I'm not sure if it's still online, but we haven't been
Issuing.
Yeah, or receiving, I guess. I'm not sure if we're still issuing for the area, I'll be honest.
So maybe both.
So it might be both, but I know people are also not applying.
Yeah.
Because of the conditions there.
So I'm going to hear some of the testimony because I have a lot of people that wanted to add to this list. So I won't say too much more about it. But, you know, what we did at Keau Beach Park was similar to this, where it was just line. And then we just knocked out every single line until we were a pole. So I want to do that with this. I want us to work slowly. I want us to fund the ideas we have so that they can see the visual change. But thank you for being in support of it and just for everything. I feel like our partnership has come a long way, and that as we go beach park by beach park, we're making more progress than 20 at a time. I feel like we're doing like one at a time, which helps me too to make sure that we get all of the parts done and then move on to the next one. So thank you, Deputy. Thank you, Chair.
Hello.
Any questions for Deputy Director? Okay, we'll move on to in-person testimony in the council chambers. Clerk, do we have any registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, I see Angela Melody Young. Go ahead, Angela.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and the City Council, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. So the Lua Lua Lua. Thank you for correcting me. Lua Lei Beach Park in Waianae is a narrow 18-acre park located along Farrington Highway. And the beach is sandy, but there is a rocky limestone shelf along the shoreline, which makes entering the ocean difficult. For this reason, the beach is empty because most of the time, for this reason, the beach is empty most of the time, as most people prefer swimming at the neighboring Pokai Bay or at other beaches in the area. So the beach park is mainly used by local fishermen, and a surf site called Sewers is located offshore and is named after the Waianae sewage treatment plant, which is located across the beach park. And if there's going to be the Honolulu Police Department to help to address community concerns, I think that's a good thing because a lot of things happen at the parks.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now proceed to remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, we have registered testifiers.
Okay, let's start with Robert Buctis. If I said your name wrong, I apologize, followed by Mary Ellen Apostle. Is Mr. Buctis on the line?
Chair, testifier is not logged on.
Okay, we'll move on to Mary Ellen Apostle.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm not sure if I'm muted or not.
No, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, as far as Lulu, I'm Mary Ellen Apostle on behalf of the Neighborhood Security Watch for Pokai Bay. And it's been years, we've been petitioning and we have the signatures and we did go through the neighborhood board and it was transferred over to Andrea because we have petitions, proposals, because it's a 24/7 drug dealing and it's never been, our quality of life has just been uprooted by the park. It's not only that we're so close in proximity to the park. When they come in and park there all night, have all night parties, and they back in, our houses light up like Christmas trees because their lights come right in through our windows. And now we have dealing with 2 game rooms, one from 2 years ago that they raided, and they used the park for parking. And the traffic is 24/7. The handy van can't even park by my house to pick up my daughter because they take up every parking spot on the block between the drug dealings and the game rooms. They're back and forth. The all-night parties where the police cannot control them. I met with police officers waited up until midnight and had to meet with them before they could do anything, and they still could not do anything. How many times I met with them and they were incapable of closing the party down? I don't understand it.
Mr. Apostle, you want to wrap up your testimony?
Okay. As far as Andrea, we do have proposals in there that we're going to you from the neighborhood board with the petition to close the park at 8 o'clock, so we don't have to keep calling the police. We have some leeway before midnight to get some attention and close the park down.
Thank you, Ms. Apostle. Anybody have questions for our testifier? Councilmember Tupola?
Thank you, Ms. Apostle, for being on. I'm going to review it. I know that a version of this went through, so I just want to make sure because we added things on. We worked with the Simplicianos, other people to kind of buffer this up. I just want to make sure that the part about the park closure hours, which is the main part that Parks wants to make sure we already ran through the neighborhood board, was already, agreed upon by everyone, which I think it was, but I will review it because we're on like the 6th iteration of this, and I just really wanted to add everything in that everyone wanted. So in here I have
Yes,
7 items.
Just the whole community, yeah.
Okay, I have the 7 items in here, and then I'll go over with Carmen if I'm missing any of them, but thank you for testifying.
Thank you for your attention in this matter.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next testifier, Carmen Guzman Simpliciano. And I do see someone else. Are you testifying, Kimie? Okay, awesome. Okay, Ms. Simpliciano, you can unmute.
Aloha.
Okay, one more time. There you go.
Hear me? Okay. Aloha, everybody. I'm here in support, obviously. I helped to write the resolution. We did go to the neighborhood board. It was deferred to the cultural because there is currently no one sitting on the parks committee at the time when this proposal was written with the board members. And then we also did a petition. So we have those community members that also agreed with the itemized list, especially the 8 o'clock, because even working with the HPD, what his name? Captain Corporal
Roland,
yes, they have an understanding that their switchover is part of the problem. It's at a later time. So by the time Mary calls, they come out at 1 o'clock because of that switch. And then if they get a higher priority, it'll take another 2 more hours. So she's out there to 3 o'clock. And, this is for their community safety. I don't want kupunas outside trying to fight the battle every time we have people slamming their songs at the beach and whatnot, or camping in that area. There's a lot of camping that goes on and parties that comes with it, and they have to always go out there and like, hey, you guys know it, this is not a camping area, and have that confrontation all the time. So if we could get it earlier, we can mitigate having the police actually come out and do enforcement. And as far as the drug houses, it's still a problem. The roaming, that's where they go. They go across the park, then back to the houses, and do their deals there. So we need more police enforcement. But yeah, it did go through the neighborhood board. I think we can hold something else, maybe in a committee to add other itemized solutions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your testimonies. Any questions? Councilmember Tupola.
hi Carm, thanks so much for tuning in today. My question was, you said that it was heard at the neighborhood board and then deferred into a committee. So did they vote in support of this? They did?
Then we went into the transition of doing the new board.
Oh, I see.
It kind of got dropped, but then that's the problem. There's still no one running the parks
Committee.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's where we're running into the issue. But I do have to make note that they tried this, the neighborhood, Lolole neighborhood security watch people, they tried this years ago in 2017. And so they also had another petition going on back then in 2017. So it's still the same issues, and they want that solution. So, I mean, this has been a long time coming, and they've been suffering since then.
Okay, thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any questions for the testifier? Okay, I think we see someone. Can I just bring her on? Okay. Kimie Korinaga. Hope I'm saying that correctly. You can go ahead and state your name and then testify. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kimie Korinaga. I am in support of Resolution 23-267 to improve conditions at Lualele Beach Park. I live on Farrington Highway by the traffic light and the canal that runs back to Lualele Beach Park. Growing up, I learned to fish at that beach next to the opening of the canal, and sometimes we were allowed to play in the ponds there. It's unfortunate that I cannot take my daughter there. The canal was always kind of broken up. It was great when it was fixed. However, since it's been fixed, there's been a lot of traffic through the canal coming from Lualele Beach Park. People who are choosing to live there in the canal to reach the Farrington Highway and the stores like Long's and the gas station. Yesterday, one of the houseless individuals was trash day yesterday. They were digging through our trash can. My partner was reversing out of our garage with our 1-year-old daughter, and the individual threw a trash bag into the back of our truck from our trash can. There's domestic violence almost every night. People carry machetes and crowbars and other weapons and constantly have unleashed dogs. It seems that the issue is that people are comfortable there. They're so comfortable that the residents are becoming uncomfortable, and we're unable to really do anything without fear of retaliation. My neighbor had a Molotov thrown through his window a few years ago. How do we address the comfortability that is allowing people to choose to live at this specific area in Beach Park? Would we be able to lock the bathrooms at a certain time? Can the canal access above and below be blocked to make the ease of accessing these areas in the middle of the residential neighborhood a little bit harder? Police presence is there. We see them all the time. However, I don't know what kind of authority the officers are given and willing to impose when it comes to individuals in these areas. They seem to have no deterring effect on the individuals that choose the beach park as their home. Their presence, though it is appreciated, it simply isn't enough. Can the police do more to make individuals who are using the park and surrounding areas inappropriately feel more uncomfortable? I wish I could give better input on actual solutions, but for now, I'm only able to offer my testimony as a resident and how these areas are being used by certain individuals and a negative impact on our lives. I am empathetic to their situations. I understand if it's not our beach, it'll be another beach, but I do hope that we can find a middle ground. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you testifying. We should have more people like you doing that. So thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Okay, members, we are in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you for the 3 women that testified. It's a small area, you know where it is. And that neighborhood security watch is active. I mean, there's 75 plus signatures on the petition. And like Carmen said, it's an old issue. I mean, there's no one who drives into Waianae that doesn't see that huge area across Pizza Hut, across the wastewater treatment plant that's just anything goes over there. And so we need to change it. I literally almost cried when Kimie talked. I can't even imagine like people just kind of going through your trash, throwing things in your window. And I know that HPD busted that game room on the corner, but she's right. I mean, they got the cash back, they got things back going. And maybe on the final passage of this, I should have Major Lambert kind of update us on how that game room bust or if anything's happening there. It is so, so unfortunate because as stated by the deputy, it used to be a place where people would camp. You know, it used to be a place where you could take your kids. I haven't seen people use that beach in years to actually go and recreate and enjoy. So I think there's 2 other things. I mean, one of the things that I worked with Deputy Pu'uan for Kea'au was to actually put, what is it called? Prohibited parking and tollway signs, which we did at Kea'au because there are quite a few abandoned / they're working on them vehicles that have been all over that park area. And then something that someone else brought up, not these 3 ladies, but others, trees, beautifying, something to make it more beautiful. So I want to see that. And I think lastly, I'll just have the neighborhood board introduce this exact one I have and vote in support of it. As they said, everyone's in support of it. There's no one in Waianae that wants to see this go on. So I'm in support. I may come with some more changes, small changes, nothing big. I'll talk with Parks about it, and then I'll talk with the neighborhood board. And if we need to defer it from the full council agenda until we get that, we'll do that. But I would like to see it passed out of this committee, as there's really no changes. I mean, we basically need to do something, and I'm confident that Parks and my office's relationship will get that done.
Okay, okay. Sounds like a plan. I think, I think we challenged by this situation in everybody's community, and it is sad. She said, a community that was once comfortable and now uncomfortable, because we are very empathetic. We are, we feel sorry, but I think, years and years of enabling has led us to this moment. So, yeah, I will move this thing forward. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Chair recommends that. Anybody else? Okay. The chair recommends that Resolution 23-267 be reported out for adoption. Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Okay. Moving on to last and final item, amending the register of exceptional trees. Members, please note that we distributed a hand-carried proposed CD1 OCS 2023-1008 11/13 2023 at 2:30 p.m. submitted by myself. Makes the following amendments. A, amend section 2 by correcting introductory language for trees beginning with A and B. B, adds new section 3 to amend section 40-8.7 D instead of subsection C, and to add hibiscus. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Tilicius? Sounds Filipino to me. And am I saying that correctly? Tilicius? All right. If I'm saying it wrong, it's the wrong hibiscus, but it's a hibiscus, correct? Okay. A how tree on Kahala Avenue renumbers the subsequent sections, makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments. Here from the administration is Deputy Director Kehaulani Pu'u.
Aloha again. Thank you, OCS, for the CD1. So we are just updating our exceptional trees register, our inventory. We're adding 3 trees, and so we need to update the ordinance when we do that. So we ask for your support of this bill. Thank you.
Members, any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Okimoto.
Aloha. I just was curious how you guys decide what qualifies, or how you guys choose the exceptional trees in the areas that they're placed.
No, I don't know a lot of answers to your questions today. So I don't have an answer, but we do have a committee, actually, an advisory. Is it an advisory? Arborist advisory committee, and so I believe they do the selection of the trees. So there is criteria. This board is appointed by the mayor, and we have a nice, well-rounded team. Somebody from UH, Trees for Honolulu, some others, and I don't know what their criteria is, but they meet quarterly, minimally, and recommend the trees.
So this list is an ongoing list, or this is?
Yeah, so this is a full list, and then what this bill does is add our new trees. So they should be underlined. There's 3 trees. The Hau tree, where we had the little error, and 2 other trees. I don't know which trees those are, though. What tree? I'm looking at Dawn over here. Yeah. Because mine's not underlined.
And the arborists are the ones who choose where?
Well, this group, yeah. So there is criteria for the trees. Page 3. Yeah, it's not underlined, but are they monkey pods?
Monkey pod. It's a monkey pod tree, and the 2 locations.
2 monkey pods.
Yeah.
2 monkey pods and 1 hoe.
Yeah.
The only reason I ask, I'm not a tree expert, but I know in my specific community that trees are planted decades ago and they're beautiful, but decades later they cause roots and issues with the streets. And so as well, I love that we have, this part to enhance our communities and their environment, but how do we ensure that in 20 years we're not then going to have to dig up the roads because the roots are causing problems on the sidewalks or in the streets that, impact drivers and people, pedestrians. So that's why I was wondering, like, where are they placed? Who decides? What kind of metrics you guys are using to?
So the committee decides, they have the criteria. I don't know what the criteria is. But one thing I will say, and I said it when we met with Mililani residents after one of the mayor's town halls, was we're a lot more akamai about the types of trees that we're planting these days, like what's appropriate for different communities, neighborhoods, climates, and also, where, like what the space that's needed and what the lifespan would look like. So, like a lot of trees were planted long time ago. And yes, all the time we get complaints about trees breaking up the sidewalk or infringing on private property. But trees that we are planting now, we are, definitely more intentional, mindful. I think we've come a long way from when trees were planted 20 plus years ago. So,
Yeah,
and
that's good to
then
know.
there's a lot more coordination, collaboration, communication with our sister departments.
That's good to know. I think my office can attest that we've gotten more tree issue emails and phone calls than we anticipated. So I just want to make sure moving forward that we're, like I said, akamai with what we're doing in our communities. But I would like to see part of my district. I didn't see any exceptional trees in District 8 that I recognize. So Mililani is considered an actual tree city, but in Pearl City or other parts I didn't recognize. So
I don't see any
This
for the
isn't-
west side either.
that's why I was wondering who chooses. But you said this is ongoing, so this is a process that will
This is
continue.
ongoing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Right. I think there's an arborist online, so he can probably answer your questions when we get him on. Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. We got you. I'm going to ask you the questions, or you can answer the question that Councilmember Okimoto asked about. Okay, we'll move on to in-person testimony, unless we have questions from. Okay. Oh, Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. That's a great point because I think both what you mentioned, the distinction between trees, because we're talking about exceptional trees and how there's only exceptional trees in certain parts of Oahu right now, but then there's different criteria for city trees in general and what we allow to be planted on our city properties and what's maintained at our parks or on our sidewalks. So I think if we can, after we take testimony, we can have that discussion and find out from the arborists. Yeah, okay, cool, thank you.
Absolutely. Councilmember Say, yeah? No? Good? Okay. We'll now proceed with in-person testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
But I do see Angela, and why do I feel like we will know and find out right now what is exceptional trees?
You got it. Okay, so Angela Melody Young on behalf of CARES. In 1975, the Hawaii State Legislature passed the Exceptional Tree Act, Act 105, after considerable advocacy and public education by community groups. This law protects designated exceptional trees from improper trimming and unnecessary removal. The law also encourages private property owners to properly maintain trees by incentivizing tax deductions. And the act, and one of the purposes of getting an exceptional tree is to teach people about trees and the tree's ecological functions. So the County Arborist Advisory Committee enacts rules relating to exceptional trees, and each county has its own program and operating guidelines. So the exceptional tree criteria, how do you consider exceptional tree, is cultural value, age, rarity, location, size, aesthetic quality, and endemic status. So age is like, is that a mature tree? Is that an immature tree? So
Okay, we're gonna wrap you up.
Yeah. So just people should get exceptional trees. I just want to shout it from the rooftops, the criterias of exceptional trees, because we can save trees and get write-offs.
Perfect. Thank you, Angela. Any questions for the testifier? Okay, we'll move on to remote testimony. Clerks, do we have registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, we have registered testifiers.
Okay, I see Mr. Ritchie. You can go ahead, unmute, sir.
All right. Good afternoon, council members. First of all, I will answer any of those questions after this, so just feel free to shout them out. Okay, so in terms of testimony, so my name is Miles Ritchie. I am testifying in my capacity as chair of the Arborist Advisory Committee for the City and County of Honolulu. First off, the Arborist Advisory Committee supports Bill 61 as presented. This is the first time new exceptional trees have been added or recommended for addition to the list since 2019, and all three have undergone thorough vetting by our committee. The acceptance of these trees is needed now more than ever, as exceptional trees located throughout Oahu are aging and are seldomly being replaced by new nominees. To add to this issue, many ideal exceptional tree candidates are being removed, primarily through development on smaller lots, which destroys magnificent trees that could serve as the next generation of exceptional trees. This problem is further exacerbated from pests, pathogens, and climate change threats. This issue brings up the larger problem of ensuring Oahu's urban forests and making sure that they're healthy and house trees of specimens of desired species that have the potential to reach exceptional status, something you guys were just talking about now, making sure we have large shade canopy and not just really small trees. It is this long-term focus that the program needs now if it's going to thrive in the future. With this in mind, I urge the City Council to not only support Bill 61, but also be mindful of the broader needs of our urban forest and the policies, regulations, and programs necessary to ensure that the numerous environmental and human health benefits it provides to us all are enhanced and protected for generations to come.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Any questions for the testifier? Okay, Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, Mr. Ritchie. Thank you for being here. I kind of had the same questions that I asked the Deputy Director, mainly because in my community, we're still dealing with trees that were planted years ago, and I love it. Again, Mililani, my home district, is actually a national tree city, but the issues that we have now are we have trees with roots that have brought up sidewalks and streets, and I have constituents asking for trees to never be planted again. So I wanted to know what the process was in choosing areas and how we can make sure that when we plant the trees, what are we doing to mitigate or eliminate the future problems that we're now facing with uprooted roots that are causing damage to our sidewalks and streets?
Sure. So it's a great question. I think it goes to the larger issue of right tree, right place, going beyond exceptional trees, like I was just saying, to just the urban forest as a whole. We need to make sure that the species we plant are acceptable for that space. We need to take into consideration the space that is there now, what might be there in the future, and then select species that might not have those conflicts with the roots and the infrastructure and things of that nature. So it's just a really in-depth planning process that needs to take place. The Division of Urban Forestry does a great job with that, Parks and Rec. But it's this ever-evolving process that we need to do to make sure that the species we're planting now will be the right ones going forward. In terms of exceptional trees, just real fast, they can be nominated by anybody, but the property owner has to sign off on them. If they're on private property, any on public property, such as in a park, has to be signed off by the Division of Urban Forestry. So there's all these checks and balances in place to make sure that trees that are nominated aren't necessarily going to be a threat to someone's property or have these detrimental root impacts for the city and stuff like that. So we do factor all these things in. But yeah, it's right tree, right place, and it's something we need to factor in now as we see a lot of trees being taken out around the island.
Thank you. And I did ask about the list being ongoing. How long is this process? So this list here starts, or if it goes through, it begins, and then when do you guys continue? How long does it take for the trees, we get from this point, how long does it take for them to be planted, and when do you start looking at future areas and trees?
Yeah, so once again, that's kind of outside of the exceptional tree side of things today. But that's just whatever Parks and Rec start to determine opportune areas to do plantings, working with community, working with you all, and the different county entities to see where trees should go. But yeah, so I just want to make sure. So the exceptional tree side of things, just those that have been established. It started in 1975. We meet anywhere from, as a committee, the Arborist Advisory Committee, every 1 to 2 months. We review any nominees. We go through that full vetting process. And then after very serious vetting, then it gets sent to you all to see if this ordinance change will be passed. And, these are the best of the best. It is a very honored program. It's one of the top tree conservation programs throughout the entire United States. And yeah, I think one of the issues that you raise is that bigger urban forestry side of things, where yes, we do hear stories of people who just want trees removed in front of their property. It drops rubbish, what have you. But it's the education and outreach side of thing that really needs to start to be promoted, to say, yes, this does happen, but the benefits are numerous. It's everything from property value increase to wildlife and biodiversity benefits to ecosystem services that we've all heard about a million times over now with carbon sequestration and stormwater runoff avoided. It's this green infrastructure that trees can be a part of to help our overall urban communities. So yes, it's this holistic program that we need to look at, planting trees in the right place now so they don't cause problems down the road, or we can at least mitigate them down the road. And then we have these great candidates to say, look at these great tree specimens that we have here in Hawaii.
Well, thank you. And I just want to clarify, because I completely agree with you there, it's important for us to have for our environment. A lot of the concerns that we have, and I experience myself, it becomes a safety hazard when the roots really start impacting the sidewalks and the roads. They've damaged properties, people have been injured. And so I don't live in the urban core, but I think that's a problem no matter where we plant the trees. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are taking all the measures you can to be strategic and smart in what you're doing. Thank you, Chair.
Any more questions? Councilmember Cordero?
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Ritchie. Thank you for the work you do on the advisory committee. And I just wanted to ask, because we are talking about exceptional trees, right? And I wonder, first off, one of the trees in my district, or maybe grove of trees, I guess, no, it's just one tree, is called the Hitachi tree. I was wondering if we ever try to work with whoever is nominating or designating the tree to maybe make it culturally, I don't know how to say, respectable or amenable to the area. Because I think if a tree, especially in a place like Honolulu Gardens, that has such history too, how do we determine such a name, like besides just the Hitachi tree?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well before my time. I'm not really sure why that came about. I think it has something to do with the gardens itself. I'm pretty sure it's a private garden, so they named it what they wanted to. What we see is if it ticks one of those 7 criterias or more, then that can receive exceptional status. The naming wasn't us, to my knowledge. That is just the garden. I assume they got some kind of financial sponsorship. So that's something to be mindful of going forward, but we don't name trees.
Okay.
At least not now.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then for nominations for exceptional trees, does it not hurt, maybe I should say help more when it's a grove, or like 3 to 11, we see 16 trees for one entry versus 1? When you're taking...
It doesn't have an impact. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. I was pal.
Sure. No, so like I said, if you have 1 tree or you have 100, it's the same process whether it ticks those criteria. Now, if you're looking at something such as aesthetics, right, and you have a really interesting tree tunnel that forms, there's some in Kauai, there's the Pocky Avenue one here in town, the Kapiolani monkey pods as well. Then if you have that grove, you might have a better chance of getting the aesthetic side of things. But yes, if you just have a tree that is old with the age criterion or the historical value, and you support the documentation to justify those things, then it would be fine regardless of 1 or more. Now, being a tree lover, obviously I would love to see more and more of these trees throughout our community. So sure, let's go with groves. But yes, they're all treated equally.
Okay, got it. My next question is, and I don't know if you'll be able to distinguish this, and maybe this might be for parks, because with what the advisory committee does, do you also deal with the types of city-approved trees that are just on regular streets, or no, or just exceptional trees?
Yeah, so the primary focus of the committee is to focus on exceptional trees. Okay. If you look in the actual guidelines of what we're stated to do, it's to also recommend policies and other side of things to you all. at city council and to Duff and stuff like that. So we're working group in that side of things. So we are starting to actively do that more right now. We do work with the Division of Urban Forestry to do that. So we will be making several recommendations actually in the coming months for the urban forest more broadly, not just exceptional trees. Okay. And we're happy to work with you all. If you have questions regarding trees or the urban forest, we are here to assist you. So that could be a really good collaborative effort as well.
Okay, certainly. The reason why I bring that up is because there's when we see development projects come before us, then they have, of course, infrastructure that they then relate to trees that are city-approved trees, and then we go into asking them about, is this type of tree that could cause uprooting of sidewalks in the future, and a lot of the time they do want to still use the same tree that does have a history of, uprooting things, especially along Kapiolani and Kapiolani Boulevard. And I was just wondering, like, if we're looking at more, I guess, criteria for and different policies for city-approved trees, and that's where I was just getting towards.
Sure, sure. Thank you. I'm not sure that would be a question for the Division of Urban Forestry.
Understood. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The Hitachi tree, it's a sponsored tree.
Oh.
By Hitachi Day, you get to use it as a logo. So if you look at the logo for Hitachi, it's our tree in Mauna Loa Gardens.
Didn't know
it's kind of a cool thing, yeah. Yeah, go check them out online.
Yeah.
Supposedly they're sponsored. It's like $400,000 a year.
What?
According to the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chair, I have another.
Is there anyone else remote?
Chair, I have another question for the testifier, for Mr. Ritchie. Is that okay? Okay, really quick. So speaking of maintenance, because Chair Tolba actually brought up a really good point about like $4,000 or whatever for maintenance of exceptional trees, and whether it be at Moanalua Gardens or wherever else. Is there criteria that the committee or the department requires of the nominee or the people that nominate or submit the nominations for these trees?
So in terms of when they sign off for the acceptance of this tree for their property, they do say that they will maintain the tree, but there's no specifics in terms of us going back and evaluating that. But that's the point of the state tax deduction, which is $3,000 per exceptional tree on private property every 3 years for the maintenance purposes. A lot of these trees are really big. You're talking about the Hitachi tree. Trying to prune that thing would not be cheap. And there's a lot of trees of similar, not as big, but pretty close around the state that need that kind of help, and it's to help homeowners do that. So we don't require it, but we definitely work with the homeowners pre-acceptance, saying, here's some conditions we are concerned about, and just as like a friendly, gesture. And then after that, it's up to them. They just know what they're signing up for. We make that clear. And it would just be the same as maintaining their tree if it's non-exceptional or exceptional.
Okay, thank you. And I'm Pau now.
I think I know what I'm going to do when I'm done with City Council. I'm going to be a what's it called? Topier. And we do pruning of trees. It's a good job, me and you, Calvin. All right. Anybody else remotely testifying? Kevin, you have a question?
I just have one question. Mr. Ritchie, is it possible that once a tree is designated exceptional, that the landowner, if and when they decide to cut it, that before they cut it, maybe do a air layering program whereby you save the tree as far as a portion of it and replant it? Is there a program like that?
Yeah, there's not. That's something that we're considering right now with this whole next generation phase, is propagating some of these really unique specimens. So air laying could be one, just gathering seeds could be another, cuttings. So we're looking into that. But it's not currently in place at the moment. We are all volunteers. There's no funding to the committee, so we're just doing what we can when we have the time to do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one final question. I noticed in the categories of Albizia, you have so many Albizias. And I thought Albizia was an invasive species to the islands of Hawaii. So why would you consider it exceptional?
So, yeah, so there's different types of Albizia. Are you referring to the two monkey pods that are on the list right now?
No, the guachapelli tree,
Yeah.
the Opides tree.
So they're not the same.
Monkey
Sure,
pod.
they're not the same species as the one we're most commonly familiar with any kind of infrastructure potential issues during storms and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we have? Okay, Mr. Welch is online. I see him. Go ahead, Mr. Welch. You can unmute, introduce yourself.
Yeah, aloha, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for taking my testimony today. We stand on our written testimony, as you've had some great testifiers here today talking about Act 175 and the Exceptional Tree Act, which the Outdoor Circle, of course, was instrumental in its passage and lobbying for. We've been around for 112 years, but we would like to underscore a couple of the things that have been said here before. Mainly, this is just 3 trees being added to the inventory that we have of exceptional trees. And we at the Outdoor Circle and many others would like to see a much larger effort on behalf of the city to have other categories of trees that are not necessarily this exceptional category, but that would be considered important or significant or valuable. Anyway, legally recognized, because it's getting hotter. The hottest day we have now is going to be the coolest day we have in 15 years. These trees, as far as infrastructure and those sorts of issues that other council members have talked about, we can choose right locations for future exceptional trees. And even now we can, shave down sidewalks. There's a lot of easy fixes that we can have that we can continue to have these large trees, but we are losing canopy every single year in this city. And people don't come here to look at our concrete. They come here for the beauty of our trees. You mentioned the Hitachi tree. Look how many people are out there taking a picture of that. That tree in International Marketplace that's surrounded, that was insured for $10 million when they built that property. We're looking at a desperate need for us to protect the trees that we already have, to plant more, and to have different levels. We already have this in the city, so we would like to work with your committee and the city council in general on enacting stronger tree protection measures and retrofitting our environment to allow for more trees to be planted. And how that looks, there's a lot of really great work around the world that's on this. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to say, hey, do we like trees and the shade and the green and the environmental, economic, social, mental, physical, spiritual benefits that they bring? Yes, most people do want that. And we can choose right trees that don't bug people as much. So I appreciate your time to testify today, and look forward to working with you all on advancing a more robust tree agenda for our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Welch, and thank you so much for your work. Okay, is there anyone else that want to testify remotely?
Chair, there are none.
Okay. The chair we are now in discussion. Sorry. Council members? Council member Say.
What's the qualifications of the position you were talking about after you retired?
Would be to be a torpieres. Thank you, Council member Say. Okay. So the chair recommends that Bill 61, 2023 be amended to a hand-carried CD1. Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, the bill is amended to a CD1. The chair then recommends that Bill 61, 2023, CD1 be reported out for passage on second reading and scheduling of a public hearing. Any objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Okay. That is it, guys. Mahalo for everyone attending and participating in today's meeting. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.